There you go.
Yes,
Perfect.
sir.
Perfect. So, Nicole, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing good as well. Thank you. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here. That's really, really, really awesome. So, before we start, I have to give you an epic welcome to the show. Now, if you have watched some of my episodes, you know exactly what am I gonna do. If you don't, then here we go. Pretty epic, I know.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. So, starting with the whole interview here. So, you started your career as a Miami Heat dancer from 2010 to 2012. That same year that LeBron played and pretty much helped win a championship. You also danced for a number of Latin American artists, including Pitbull and J-Lo, Chino y Nacho, Ivy Queen, Juan Carlos Canela, Asa, Daddy Yankee, and Wisin y Yandel. Tell me, what are some of the best moments you had during that time?
Dancing for all those artists was absolutely crazy. As somebody who didn't grow up in Miami, when I moved to Miami and got into the dance scene, I fell in love with the music of Latin America and with all those artists. And I love reggaeton, and I just have such a connection to that music now.
Yeah.
You know, and I love the way that the fans show up for those artists. You know, performing in those shows, it was some of the biggest crowds that I've performed for, next to performing for the championship games for the Heat, you know? So that was absolutely incredible. And I danced a few times for Pitbull, and one of the most memorable moments that I recall is when he liked to tell dad jokes. I mean, think about it. You look at Pitbull, he's kind of the ultimate, dad, music dad, you know? Yeah, so... I remember we were all sitting there. It's on set. It's always hurry up and wait, right? So we were all waiting to get our tech going, and he said, "Hey guys, you want to hear a joke?" And we were like, "Sure, why not?" And he said, "What do flamboyant horses like to eat?" And we were like, "What?" And he was like, "Hey." And he laughed, and he actually goes, "Ha ha, dale." And I was like, you did not just Pitbull yourself. It was hilarious. But
that's cool. Wow.
Pitbull's the coolest guy, and he has a daughter, and he's crazy about her and loves to brag about her. And and do you know who Priyanka Chopra is? Who's married to Joe Jonas? So Pitbull and her did a music video together, and it had Indian influence in it. And it was awesome. And I got to be a part of that music video. So that was also one of my favorites.
That's so cool. Wow. Such awesome stories. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Now, when you started with your whole career, with your whole acting career, tell me what were some of the challenges that you first had?
Well, here I am coming from Miami as what I would consider to be a successful dancer. I did all the things that I really wanted to do in my dance career, which is why I started leaning into the acting. Before I moved to Los Angeles, I caught the bug because they started filming a bunch of movies in Miami, right? So they were already filming Burn Notice there, and then they started filming a lot of the Rock's projects in Miami. And then they filmed Rock of Ages in Miami. And they built out Miami to look like Sunset Boulevard in the 80s. It was amazing. And I originally auditioned to be one of the dancers in the movie, but I pulled my groin really, really bad, so I couldn't dance. So I went in and I did a featured extra role. And being on a set of a movie of that magnitude, which with such star power, because I'm pretty sure Tom Cruise was in that one. There were really big name stars in that. Yeah. And just being on set with them was intoxicating. And I was like, oh my God, I want to do this. But the problem was they were flying in all the major talent from Los Angeles. So anytime that I went to audition for a role in these movies that were filming in Florida, they were flying in, they were only hiring the smaller roles, the featured extra roles. Out of Miami. So I said to myself, hey, if I'm going to do this, I got to move to Los Angeles where I could be, grow my craft and really compete at the highest level that I want to compete at. So that was the big challenge. was
Oh, okay.
was learning that I couldn't necessarily reach the level that I wanted to starting off my career in Miami. Whereas I believe when you get to a certain level in a big market, in a major market like Los Angeles, New York, even Atlanta right now, you can get to a point where you can reasonably move wherever you want because you can still shoot your auditions at home. But you have to make a name for yourself, you have to build a resume, and you have to build the relationships, which is the hardest part.
Absolutely. Wow, such an interesting story here. So you basically moved like to LA starting that's really cool. Wow.
Yeah. And I had to start from scratch.
Yeah.
Here
Absolutely.
I am thinking, oh, I've got experience. I was a professional dancer and I did all these things. Well, when you move to LA, everyone who moves here is the best where they came from. So I had to start all over again. And
wow.
Yeah, I had to say yes to all the projects that came my way that, they started off unpaid, and I had to get a supporting job and figure out, how to make money without making money from acting right away, because you have to build to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's not for everyone. That was just in my case. Some people go and they meet one person and they blow up. But luckily I had some experience in commercials, so I was booking commercials right away. But the film stuff took a little longer. It took a lot more patience.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that when you are, that you will be, basically you will have to search for a job in which it will give you time to continue pursuing your acting career, right? Otherwise,
Right, which is the tough thing for a lot of people.
Yeah. I was having this interview a couple of minutes ago, in which they were saying that the problem is that with those jobs is that they're not very well paid. They will only be giving you like the exact amount to just barely survive, but you need to take that in order to continue pursuing your dream or whatever you're chasing. Otherwise, it's gonna consume everything, like all of your time in that job, and you're gonna just be leaving behind that project.
It's a delicate balance. It's
absolutely
hard.
And tell me how you usually prepare to play a character.
Well, depending on the magnitude of the character, they require different preparations, right? So the number one most important thing to me when I play character is to make sure that I have the strength of my relationships be as authentic as possible on screen. So the very first thing that I like to do is I like to figure out, okay, who's my brother, who's my boyfriend, who's my, who's this? If there's somebody really close, then we'll go out for dinner together, or make a couple of dates to get to know each other, learn about each other, and just loosen up around each other so that we can grow and have like something in common to hold on to. And then on the opposite, if you're my enemy or you're my antagonist, then I don't want to talk to you. I treat you, I keep you about 10-foot pole away, and just to keep those relationships as organic as possible.
Absolutely.
On set. That's definitely like the biggest thing that I do. And then I think it's really important to do a lot of imagination work. Some actors like to use substitution. I find the imagination to be a lot more powerful. So I do a lot of journaling and trying to create the memories around the circumstances that we're building through the script to kind of provide that backstory that they're not giving me. And then, you cross-check that with the director to make sure that you're on the same page. But
that's awesome.
Those are the major things that I like to do.
That's amazing. Love it. And so in 2015, you were in Death to Cupid. Now tell me about your character. What are some of the things that you enjoy the most about that project? And also, that went to Comic-Con, right? That same year?
I went to Comic-Con, yeah. It was awesome. That was technically my first film that I ever did, my first film project. It was a short film, a comedy, and it was hilarious. The premise was that a guy kidnaps Santa in order to try to get to Cupid so he could kill Cupid because he's mad that he hasn't worked out with love. So it's a hilarious premise. The actors are fantastic in that short, and Yeah, my character is the girl that got away. So we did a lot of memory pieces of, you know, flashback scenes to when we had our amazing relationship. And that was the first time I got to work with like a boyfriend character.
Yeah.
And so growing that love comedically was awesome and so much fun. We did it through basketball games and video games and, you know, and then got serious with a potential pregnancy. And so that was a really fun arc to start off with, even in a short film. So I'm very proud of that one. That's an awesome short. If anybody wants to see it, let me know and I'll send you a link. It's great.
Yeah, definitely send it over. I would like to see it. Yeah, definitely.
It's awesome.
How awesome is that? Now, that same year, you were in even more projects, such as Hello Charlie, and then in 2016 you were in the TV show Con. So tell me also about that. Yeah, tell me also about those projects, and also Con was nominated for 2 Emmys, right?
That's correct. Yeah. So both of those, I believe, were student films. Hello Charlie was a film about a woman with split personalities where one was trying to overtake the other.
Okay.
So that one was really fun. And I played that one opposite a woman. So it was a challenge for me to play sexuality that I'm not. And to find the love for, you know, a woman, which doesn't come naturally to me. So that was a nice little challenge there. Yeah. But it came out great, and it was so cool, like playing 2 versions of myself. That was neat. And then Con is forever and will always be like one of the projects that is the closest to my heart. I've made some of my very best friends that I'm still friends with in LA, and some of who I believe will be some major power players in the future in Hollywood off of that USC graduate project. So yeah, it was completely unpaid. We shot for 6 weeks for 2 different seasons. And I played the lead, Iris, who is a con woman in college that was trying to get a drug dealer's little black book so that she could sell it on the black market. Cool. And I run into another con artist who kind of scrambles up my whole plan, and it's hilarious. So that was an amazing project. Amy Sudo, who developed that, went on to write for television, and now is traveling the world writing television and doing ghost writing projects. I think she's going to be the next Shonda. So I'm such a big fan of hers, and and I'm still very good friends with a lot of the people that were in that project. So yeah, it was awesome. Going to the Emmys, it was the college Emmys, but you know, it's still the Television Academy, and we were nominated twice. And we got to go to that award ceremony and, you know, dressed up and the whole thing. Yeah. That was cool. And being one of my first projects to have that kind of luck working on such a quality project, I'm so grateful. Like, how lucky am I? That's the Cupid, and then Con, and then, you know, Hello Charlie. Like, these were great to start off with, and fantastic to build my reel off of in my relationships, which is the goal for anybody who's starting off. It's got to get that reel.
There you go. And what do you think it's very important for an actor to know when they're just starting acting, besides like making the connection and everything? What do you think it's also like another important thing?
Well, definitely what we spoke about already in terms of having a backup job. I think it's really important when you're starting off to have some form of financial security, whether that's in the form of savings or whether that's in a consistent job that you can really rely on. Because more than anything, I've found that it allows me to put less pressure on a job so that I can be more creative.
There you go.
So that you can say yes to a script that you really like, not because of the money that it provides, but because of the quality of content that it provides. Because you never know that deferred payment short film that you're doing with a friend of yours could have a director that blows up and asks you to be in their next movie. you know, so it's all about making those relationships, getting to know people, doing quality work, and it shouldn't focus on the money in the beginning.
There you go.
It should focus on quality. You know, that way you're doing the stuff that you want to do and building and building and building, and then you'll get to the place,
yeah, of course,
where you can, you know, make the money. But other than that, I would highly recommend to all actors to invest in an improv class or a commercial class, because commercials, they don't take a ton of brain power to prepare for, and they are great payouts, and they're looking for everyone. You know, it's all different types. You don't have to be a model in order to get cast in commercials. So I would highly recommend making sure that you invest in doing that simultaneously too.
There you go. That's a nice tip. Yeah. And between 2017 and 2019, you were even in more projects, such as Long Story Short, Alone in the Dead of Night, Medicinally Approved, The Ball, My Crazy Ex, and I mean, and as well here, what are some of the favorite moments you got during like those projects here?
Well, that was a big year. Shoot.
Yeah.
That was the year that I finally got my manager, and things started to roll, which was awesome. My Crazy Ex was my first TV show. So, and the story behind that is I auditioned for them, I think 7 or 8 times. And of those 7 or 8 times, I was cast in 3 of the shows. So because it changes stories every episode.
Yeah.
So, you know, the story there is like, if you keep auditioning for a casting director and you're not getting it, like, have faith, like, they like you, and just keep doing good work. The goal should always be to go in there and win the room, not go in there and book the job. Yeah. You know, which is really important. And then, long story short, that was hilarious. I'm trying to think of the celebrity that was in that. It'll come to me in a second, but that was hilarious because I showed up and I was like, what is happening here? And that's another one of those, like, my friends produced Long Story Short, and they called me the day before to hop in. And that was just, that one was hilarious. They're great. Those guys that do the Long Story Short series on YouTube, they're hilarious. And it's a wonderful, like, quick dose of comedy, very well produced. Yeah,
that's so awesome. And what about Pitchfork? Tell me about that too.
So Pitchfork is also one of those that I hold really close to my heart. Okay. Because that is my Miami dance crew. So Glenn Douglas Packard, who wrote, produced, and directed Pitchfork, is a very well-known choreographer. He's danced with Michael Jackson. I mean, he's choreographed for a lot of people. He was on that show with the Hogans, like Hulk Hogan's daughter, Brooke Hogan. Okay. Yeah, he was on her reality show because he's like best friends with her, choreographed for her. So I danced with Glenn for years in Miami. And then when I moved to LA, he came out and had a drink with me and was like, I'm producing this horror. Turns out Glenn is a huge horror fanatic. And as you know, the horror community is the best. Like, they're so supportive and they're such addicts for horror. So he's one of those. And he wrote and produced an ode to the, like, 80s, 90s slasher films that had a dance number in it. And so it was about a bunch of dancers that are supporting their friend to go home to come out to his parents. And then while they're home, there's a serial killer on the loose and they all get whacked. So, but that project was amazing because I got to work with my friends. That's so cool. And we all got to stay on the property, and we filmed in Michigan on his farm. And it was like being at summer camp with your best friends, making a movie, doing what you love, you know, which is the goal. I think if you're getting paid to hang out with friends and shoot a movie, that's the goal. That's like, everybody wants to be in a studio film, but like in the meantime, I'll take that job too.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that film did great, and has worldwide distribution, won a ton of awards, and it namely got a lot of exposure because it featured a final guy who was gay, and that hadn't been done before.
Yeah.
You know, and now we've got Fear Street, that's featuring a same-sex couple. By the way, if you guys haven't seen Fear Street yet, go watch it. It's on Netflix. It's awesome. It is so good. But yeah, love Pitchfork. Love me a good dance number right in the beginning of the film.
That's so cool. Wow.
Yeah.
And also let's talk about the Axiom. So it won over the world's most prolific independent horror film festival, and it's currently one of the top ranked horror films in Amazon Prime and iTunes too. So tell me about your character and in that and what was your reaction when you saw like that project as well become like worldwide and everything? So
I didn't know that it was one of the top ranked horrors, so thank you for letting me know that. That's awesome. I'm so proud of that. That is killer. No pun intended. But yeah, another horror film. Everybody in town was auditioning for it. They everybody loved the script, and yeah, I was not expecting to get that one at all.
Yeah.
And I ended up booking it as the role of Darcy, a potty mouth but lovable best friend character, who, yeah, I'm the sidekick, the little scrappy sidekick in the movie. And it was super fun because I think out of all the characters that I've played, Darcy is probably closest to who I am authentically. So it was really easy to just kind of step into that.
Yeah.
And we all shot that in Idlewild, California, which is beautiful. Just outside of LA, up a mountain. You would never know that it exists up there. It's like a cool mountain town.
Yeah.
And we all stayed in a cabin together, and that really helped us form our relationships, which is part of my character building that we discussed. So I really enjoyed that project because of how close we all got as strangers. Yeah. And in fact, Hattie Smith and Taylor Flowers, who are the lead girl and the lead guy in the movie, they're getting married.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
they get
so
married
awesome.
next year. So that's been incredible. And all those Axiom people are some of my really good friends, and they all went to Chapman University. So shout out to anybody who went to Chapman, knows people from Chapman. I love working with people who went to Chapman. I have done multiple projects, including Long Story Short. And also, I did another film called, this is the day where I don't think of what they're called. A letter. I wrote this for you. It's called I Wrote This For You, and that was awesome, Chapman. So Chapman all the way. If you went to Chapman and you have a good script, I want to work with you. Basically.
There you go. If there's anybody at some point listening to this on the podcast or watching this on the YouTube video, you know who to contact. That's awesome.
Call me. Yes,
awesome.
I love them.
And tell me, what do you like the most about horror projects?
The fans.
Yeah.
It's the best. The fans are the best. They will watch anything, and they're not super harsh critics because they just want to see fresh material. They just want to see horror. And I've gone, to small towns when I was shooting the Christian film A Walk with Grace. I had multiple people who were playing extras on set come up to me and be like, "Oh, you're from the Axiom," or "Oh, I saw you in Pitchfork," or sometimes both. And I just got so excited because I was like, "Me?" you've watched those films? So that's the number one thing that I love about horror is the genre has such a huge fan base, and dare I say that now it might have the largest fan base of all the genres, especially with Jordan Peele coming out with the Get Out, Get Out and all those movies that he's doing, and all the Annabelle movies and The Conjuring. Horror is top dog. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, and I don't know. People tell me that I have a very killable face because I always get killed in these movies. My mom hates it. I think it's hilarious.
That's funny.
What are you gonna do?
And what would you say it's the key for a good horror movie?
Believing, because it's as the actor, or what's the key to a good horror movie, like overall, like in the creation, or like, acting in it?
Both, but let's start with, for example, if you want to watch like a horror movie, right? What's like the key aspect you're looking in order to be like, okay, this one was a good one?
I like good special effects. So if like the blood and everything is on point, like I've got high respect for that.
Yeah.
Because I like the gory stuff, because it's not real.
Yeah.
So what does it take to make that? It takes a lot. It's cool. It's involved.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's also gross.
Yeah.
Like as the actor to have special effects makeup on, it's disgusting. It's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, sometimes yeah, like those horror movies would have like too much. I remember when I watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I watched it with a couple of friends and we stopped it because we were like watching each other like, dude, this is too much.
Yeah, I recently rewatched it and it's disgusting. But like, I think it's taking it there, like, yeah. If you're a horror movie and you're gonna take it there, like I respect it when they take it there. With everything, with the storyline and everything. Like don't cut corners, like take it there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. I can't put my finger on it because I love all different kinds of. There's different kinds of horror. There's fantasy horror. There's slasher horror. There's the campy horror. I love myself a good campy horror. I mean, I loved Fear Street. Just like there's all different genres, so it's hard to put your finger on it.
Yeah, it depends. Absolutely. Yeah. Interesting. And then you got the lead so you got the lead role in Anderson Cohen's dark comedy Groupers, which made you won an award it made you won an award at the Film Invasion LA Film Festival. So tell me about that experience and how was it receiving an award for your performance?
That was amazing. I still remember when I got the call because I wasn't at the film festival. Yeah, I was unaware that I was nominated for an award, so it was amazing, and I'm still just so grateful for that. I just want to make movies. Being recognized for doing a good job is the cherry on top.
That's good.
So thank you to Film Invasion again. They had me. All the film festivals. It's such an honor to be a part of. But I loved Groupers because when I first read it, I thought that I was going to be a sadistic kidnapper, but it turns out that it's a dark comedy, not a horror film. So I'm actually an idiot. In the movie, not in real life. Like my character's an idiot. So that was hilarious, like getting that twist on it.
Yeah.
And for those of you that don't know the premise is that I kidnapped my little brother's high school bullies who were making fun of him for being gay. And I tie them up at the end of an empty swimming pool and I tell them that they can't escape until they go gay for each other. And the whole thing is like, is being gay a choice? It's a comedy based around that theme, which sounds kind of weird, but it's super interesting, hilarious, and it switches perspectives so that you kind of get the full story from everybody. So that was awesome. And Anderson, he's a big podcast guy. So he has a very, very like big following. People love Anderson, and his podcast is called The Film Vault. And so being the lead of his movie meant being, the lead of a movie that his posse followed. Yeah. And they went around the country to watch his screeners. They went to all of the film festivals. They listened to all the podcasts that we guested on. And having that kind of support, it was the first time that we had that level of support, or that I've experienced that level of support in a project that I've done. And it was just so incredible to see like people be such a fan of one individual. And I was just so proud that he picked me, you know, and that carried a lot of weight. So I'm really proud of that one. And because of that film, because of all the press and everything that we did, it's actually what gave me the confidence to want to start my own podcast.
Yeah, which we're gonna talk about that soon. Yeah. That's so amazing. So, I mean, you really have. I mean, I'm really, it's amazing. Basically, your career is awesome. That's what I was gonna say. I mean, your career is awesome. That like the fact that how many things have connected about like during all those times. I mean, it is really, it is really awesome. Cool. And
it's so nice to hear you say that, because I know a lot of actors can relate. Like, we look at our careers and we look at what we want to do, and to us, it's like, this is no big deal. But it is a big deal because it takes a lot of work. And even in Los Angeles, LA, Atlanta, there are unpaid jobs that thousands of people are competing for.
Yeah.
So we all have to be grateful, and then we're even more grateful when those projects turn out to be great. And then when those relationships continue to build. And you're right, I'm lucky beyond measure to have worked on the projects that I have so far with the people that I have. And that keeps me going, because I'm like, hey, maybe I'm meant to do something with this, you know?
And tell me, what is the number one thing that you like the most about acting?
So I think especially like during the pandemic, we found solace through entertainment, right?
Yeah.
Connection through entertainment. What a lot of people see is, TV and whatever is melting your brain. Like, when we watch movies and we watch television, we're looking to see ourselves reflected on screen. So the best part about being an actor, in my opinion, is the opportunity to share the stories of others, to connect with other people, right?
Yeah.
And I think if you really dig deep as an actor and you think about where that comes from generations of storytelling. It's just that our storytelling has evolved and changed.
Yeah.
You know, so I had a really hard time when I just started off acting, because I thought that it was such a selfish thing. But really it's that almost genetic predisposition to want to tell stories in order to help people connect and let people know you're not alone, and your experience is not singular. And while it may be unique, you're not the only one who goes through this or has this pain or has this joy or that's really isn't cool. That the most fun when you watch something and an actor does something so little and you're like, ha, because it just like you're like, absolutely. That's so relatable what they just did.
Yeah, that is the thing, for example, that I do enjoy about movies, that whenever there is something relatable for the characters, and I mean the fact that whenever you are going to play a character, you're going to play a character in this world created, and you're going to explore that character in that world that is created for the movie, and the fact that you can play that, I mean, that is really awesome. Totally.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And tell me, from all of your different performances, which one has been the deepest learning curve? I mean, the performance that you learned the most lessons from.
I'm gonna kick it back to groupers again. So that was the first time where I wasn't a co-lead or part of an ensemble.
Yeah.
It's where, I mean, I was definitely part of an ensemble, but I was the lead of the movie. And it came with huge challenges. Here, I'm going to take these out real quick. I think they're dying. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So there was a day on groupers where I had to do a 20-something page day. And we shot it all from one angle, and then we flipped it and did the other angle. So as an actor, you're thinking, okay, we're probably going to shoot about 5 to 7 pages before we flip the world.
Yeah.
Because it's hard. You have to say your lines. You have to repeat your behavior in, you know, as closely as possible. You could do fresh things, but you want to keep it consistent for the editor, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And you also have to discover fresh things each take too. So it's 20 pages is a lot.
Yeah.
So that was the biggest challenge for me. And I had a script supervisor helping feed me lines. When I got to about page 18 was when I started, you know, my brain started melting. But during that time too, I experienced my first panic attack.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I never had a panic attack before that. I was aware of what a panic attack was. I honestly thought that I had like had too much caffeine or something. I got nauseous. I was gagging, like sweating.
Yeah.
And I've been hesitant for so long talking about it because I thought as an actor that made me weak, that it made me sound incapable, unprofessional, because like, oh, maybe she can't handle the pressures of this job. When really, anxiety and panic attacks, they have all different kinds of triggers and not just stress.
Yeah.
So I'm really proud to share that now, that was a challenge. I was so lucky on set that I didn't know what was happening, but so many people on set did. And the show has to go on. So, you know, we've got makeup making sure that I'm cooled off so that I'm not sweating on camera. And I've got a director that's just going, can I curse?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
I got a director going, just fuck it. Just fuck it. Just throw it away. Just do whatever you want. Like, just say the words. We'll figure it out. And that scene, that scene in the movie it's a long one of me talking to the kidnapped kids. Ended up being one of the best scenes of my life because we really had to just like make it work.
Yeah. And
as the actor, I almost had to say to myself, like, well, this is going to come out however it's going to come out. So who cares how it comes out? Just let it come out.
Yeah.
And I was thinking it, I was just letting it happen. And so it's a success story. Like, it's my story of strength and overcoming a challenge on set, and also in letting people know, like, hey, actors and people who are not actors out there, like, anxiety happens, and just be honest with the people that you're working with on what you're going through at that moment and what you need to succeed, and people will help you through it. It's way better now to be vulnerable and honest about what you're experiencing so that people can help you through it, because they're there to support. And I think that our environment is just so much more receptive to helping people with those issues. So yeah, that was definitely my biggest challenge, I would say.
And any advice that you could give to upcoming actors?
Yes. We already, talked about. Make sure you have a way to sustain yourself financially. That's acting, because it's going to allow you to be the most creative and the most free in the beginning of your career. Yeah. Also, recognize that acting is, if you want it to be, it's a commitment for your entire life, right? So the best advice that anybody ever gave to me was, it was actually my boyfriend. He said, babe, if you're going to pursue acting until you're, let's say, 75 years old, and I'm going to support you if you pursue acting until the day you die, what does it matter if you have your big break now or 20 years from now, 30 years from now? You know? Yeah. It's hard. Because he was like, as long as you're chipping away at it every day and you're doing what you love, you're doing projects that you love, like, eventually you will get there. Yeah, of course. So it's so important to not rush and compare yourself to others, which is hard. I still do it, but that's why it's so important to have, a financial backbone that is diversified, not just acting. And to also make sure that you're taking those moments for life.
Yeah.
That you're not missing major milestones like weddings and all that stuff. They always say, if you want to book an acting job, book a flight. So with that, I will leave you with one final piece of advice, and that is, if you book a flight, get insurance.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about your podcast, Girls with Guts. Tell me where the idea to make this podcast came from.
So, we've talked about my acting career as if it's been linear, right? I actually got very, very sick after doing a couple movies in 2017.
Yeah.
Even with my dance background and everything, I was just go, go, go all the time. I was in amazing shape. I ate very healthy, but I wasn't paying attention to the needs of my body, and I was stressing it out.
Yeah, of course.
So out of nowhere, my intestines started twisting. And it's very difficult to catch this in medical tests unless it's actively twisting. So mine was twisting and untwisting, twisting and untwisting. And when that happens, imagine you're blowing up a balloon. When you let the balloon out, it's not the same anymore. It's stretched. Yeah. So that happened to my intestine. It got too big for my body.
My God.
And the bigger that it got and the more tests we did and the longer that we did and didn't know what was going on, the sicker I got. And it got to a point where I had to stop acting. I was able to take classes, but even that was so challenging for me physically. But yeah, I got super, super sick and I had to get a couple of surgeries. And thanks to those surgeries, I'm much better now. As you can see, I'm back to myself, thank God. But it took a while to get here. So I sat next to, I sat at a wedding next to a girl that I noticed wasn't eating her dinner. And I said, what's up? Do you not like the food? And she said, oh, really weird story. My intestines were twisting and I had to get all these surgeries. Now I can't eat a lot of things. And I was like, whoa, that is a coincidence because
Yeah.
So her name's Elena. She lives in Ohio, and Elena is in news. So she's not an actor, but she's an on-camera talent. And we both were just leaning on each other because she started having problems again. And you can lean on your friends and your family, but until you know someone who's gone through it, you kind of don't have that confidant. Yeah. So Elena and I decided that in order to provide that space for people, we started a podcast. So our podcast features the stories of people who are thriving with chronic illness. And more than 40% of the United States, I don't know how it is in Mexico, but more than 40% of the United States has a chronic illness. So that's a big amount of people that don't talk about the fact that they're sick every day. Yeah. And just because you're sick doesn't mean that you can't live like a normal person. It just means that you have to work harder to do that. So we feature the stories of people who are doing kick butt things. Like we have a race car driver, Connor Daly, that just told his story about how he's a race car driver with type 1 diabetes. That's pretty awesome. And then I have an actor friend who came on, and he, Danny Gomez, recently became paralyzed in 2016 from the waist down. And through becoming active in his community, like in the disabled community, his acting career started to skyrocket. He got a huge role on New Amsterdam, and he's recently the recipient of the Superman Scholarship Award. So, yeah.
That's really amazing. And can we expect more episodes on the future?
Sorry?
Can we expect more episodes on the future for your podcast?
Oh, yes. So we had technical difficulty and went to Spain. So just got back, and we're having everything on track with Girls with Guts starting next week. Trying to decide which episode we're going to debut, but it's looking like it's going to be an episode on EMDR, which is a technique in, is it psychotherapy? It's a therapy technique to help with trauma, with emotion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds interesting. So we have the exclusive here, the announcement. That's very cool.
Yes.
That's cool.
We're
That's
gonna
cool.
have amazing people coming on talking about everything from bee venom therapy to cure Lyme disease, to people living with MS that have got it controlled in remission, that are fitness models. So we've got some really cool people.
Wow.
Yeah, inspiration. If you're feeling stuck in life, go listen to Girls with Guts podcast.
There you go.
It'll get you on.
That's so amazing. I mean, that's so amazing and genius of how that situation that you had to pretty much overcome it and create something about it, and the fact that you can inspire people with that is also really cool. I mean,
Thanks.
Especially during these days, you know what I mean? During this whole COVID crazy times, and I mean, there was a moment that you would turn on TV and there was just nothing but bad news here, like all the time. But the fact that we can find like places like your podcast in which pretty much it's all about inspiration and about going forward, and it doesn't matter if you have an illness or not. I mean, as long as you have like the heart to do it, you will be able to, you know, to keep up going. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Thank you so much for bringing attention to it. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And what motivates you? Like, what drives you every day? Because as I was in here and when I was doing like the whole research for your for this interview, you have a really awesome career with so many awesome things here and there, like how everything got connected with your podcast. I mean, basically you are a rock star here. So tell me, what drives you?
That's a tough question. Honestly, I think it's just it all goes back to that whole, like, I want to connect with people and I want to tell stories at the highest level and connect with the most people possible.
Yeah.
And I didn't always know what that meant. So I think what drives me at the core of it is like, it's that feeling. And I think every actor can connect to that. Like when you're on set and you lose yourself in the character and you deliver what started off on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
There are so many things that have to happen. There's so many people involved that have to happen to get a story from paper to film. And the actor is an integral part of that. So I think what drives me is that magic, being involved in that magic. And it's not always in front of the camera. Sometimes it's behind a microphone.
Yeah.
Or sometimes it's part of that development process, being a part of that, you know, writing the paper, writing the script to feed to somebody who then brings it to life. Being a part of that magic is what drives me. And it started off with the dancing. You know, it starts off with music, and how do you bring that music to life with your body? Finding that magic, that moment where it all clicks and it's almost this like exhale of, we did that. We made it. We realized that. We created that. We surprised people with that. That drives. That,
wow.
And I want like little me out there somewhere to know that even if you don't know how to get to that, if you don't know how to get from small town in your living room to one day being on the big screen, like, you could figure it out. If you can imagine it, you could do it. You know what that means and how you're going to get there. I don't know about how. You know, everyone's journey is different. But that little girl out there who is just like me, don't let anybody tell you that it's not possible. If you could see it, you could do it.
Yeah, and I think that is one of the things recently, right? That there is that no matter no matter what's your dream or passion, if you want to do it, you just need to do it, and don't postpone. You know, don't say like this typical like, I'm gonna do it until I do this or until I get this, because you're never gonna be able to do it. I mean, we all have like this type of examples from somebody we knew, the family member or friend, that maybe he or she has like this amazing idea to create something, but they just don't do it because they don't believe in themselves and they're wasting a lot of time, you know. And I think that is very sad, because at the same time, I mean, we're all gonna be 70 or 80 at some point, right? And well, personally, to me, I don't want to reach that age and be like, I could have done this or I could have go this. You know, that there's this life that we only have once, and no matter how ridiculous for some people would say your dream is, if you want to do it, just go ahead and just go. You know,
try it. You never know. You could get there and hate it.
Yeah, true. But that would be a lesson. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah, that would be like a lesson. Or even if you wanna, or maybe, for example, if you wanna be an actor and maybe you didn't like it, but you still love about all the film stuff and everything, then you can become a director, writer, producer. You know, like there's so many stuff around in everything that you just need to go and do it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be full time either.
Yeah.
Like you could write a script, you know, after work and make a movie, and it doesn't have to be your whole life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Want to try it, but yeah, it's that.
Absolutely, yeah. Like definitely, Nicole. If I would have a microphone, I would say drop the mic because you pretty much preach. That was cool, but I don't. But eventually, I will get one and I will drop it. Eventually, I will. But anyway, in the meantime, thank you so much for giving me for being here on the show, for talking about your career. I mean, as I was saying here, I think your career is really awesome, and the way that you were explaining it, and you were talking about like how everything got connected by just moving to LA. That for a lot of people, moving to another city, it's challenging, of course, because you don't know anybody. There's nobody, just you and you basically. And the fact that you were able to overcome that and to continue pursuing your dream, it's very inspirational. I mean, I think those who are listening and watching this, they can totally agree on that you pretty much did something that a lot of people is afraid of. So the fact that you did it, it's a perfect proof that it is possible, you know.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah. Now, before I send you off, I need to send you off in an epic way. So
before you send me off,
yeah,
can I also give a shout out?
Yeah, absolutely, of course.
Okay, so I have a friend who's debuting tonight on a new Apple show called Truth Be Told with Octavia Spencer, and her name's Andrea Zamora. So shout out to Andrea for her big debut tonight. And then I also want to give a shout out to Carson Boatman, who made his debut on Days of Our Lives this week. And he's going to be a continued character on that, which is huge. And also to Chiara Aurelia, who many of you may know from Cruel Summer, which was a huge hit this past summer. She just got named by W Magazine as the Scream Queen of the Year. So big shout out.
How cool is that? How cool is that? Make sure also that you're following those accounts on Instagram, and also make sure that you're following Nicole on her Instagram and all of her social media. I mean, normally what I would say is that if you're watching this or listening to this, you could put pause for a while, hydrate, and then follow Nicole right away. Leave her a bunch of likes here and there, support her content. I mean, definitely go also check her podcast. I will definitely be doing that this weekend for sure. And again, Nicole, you are a true rock star. I mean, I could go on all day because you are definitely an amazing, super actress, and I look forward for more of your awesome work in the future.
Thank you so much, Dano. You're awesome.
Yeah. So now with the epicness, here we go.
Let's do it.
There you go. It is awesome. At some point, it's going to be live audience. But in the meantime, again, thank you so much. Keep having an amazing rest of the day, an amazing weekend. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.
Thank you so much. You have a good one too.
Bye. Bye.